Well, today we have the president of the Institute of Student Loan Advisors with us, taking all things student loans and taking your questions as well. All we need you to do is text in your question. The number's at the bottom of your screen, 336-379-5775. Earlier, we were talking about how those payments were starting back in the fall after being deferred since 2020. Recent graduates are encouraged to start planning for it now. Here's a few tips on how graduates can get ahead.
If you have a student loan or any other debt, create a list of each loan, include monthly payment amounts and the interest rate. Focus on the highest interest loans and then systematically work your way down to the lower interest ones. For parents, if you can afford to help the kids without jeopardizing your own financial security, that's fine, but no borrowing against the house or the 401k. If your first job offers health care, consider a high deductible plan to keep costs down. If not, remember, parents can keep children on their own health insurance plans until age 26. Finally, while the cash flow might be tight for new grads with a brand new job, if it includes a retirement plan, try to contribute to it at least up to the company's match if one exists. Review the investment options within the plan and opt for lower cost index funds if they're available. If there's no plan through your employer, open a Roth IRA at any of the major low-cost firms.
All right, so let's talk about money and how to consolidate loans, because this person's saying, how do I consolidate my student loans?
So it depends what kind of loans you have. If you have federal student loans, it could not be easier. You just go to our favorite website, studentaid.gov, and the consolidation application, you can do it right online. If you have private student loans, there's a little more legwork involved. You need to do your research to try to find the best deal that you might be eligible for, and then you would apply for that private loan refinance directly through whichever lender that you choose.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, this is kind of like the basic question. What is the difference between federal loans and private student loans?
I'm really glad that that question came out because it's a question we get a lot. Federal student loans are actually lent and insured and managed by the federal government. It's essentially taxpayer dollars. Private student loans are very similar to other types of consumer credit that we're familiar with. Credit cards, car loans, mortgages, and that's where you're borrowing the money directly from a private lender, say Bank of Betsy or Bank of Tanya, and the terms and conditions are not dissimilar than they would be for other types of consumer credit. What that tends to mean, however, is that there are a lot fewer safety nets on a private student loan than there would be on a federal student loan.
Right, and the federal student loans are the ones that can be forgiven. Private student loans, it's not part of that.
That's true for the federal programs that we're most familiar with, like public service loan forgiveness, the discharges that we've talked about for disability and closed school earlier in this program. There are some states that have forgiveness programs that do allow private student loan forgiveness. Those tend to be based on your profession, such as there's a lot of them for healthcare, for example.
Okay, real quick, will I get a refund for paying off my loan if I worked while being a student?
Okay, so there's the actual question and what I think your viewer might actually be asking. So to answer the actual question, if they're truly saying, do I get a refund because I worked while I was in school, the answer is no. But I think what your viewer might really be asking is related to public service loan forgiveness. And the answer to that is if your loan is in an in-school status, even if you were working public service loan forgiveness eligible employment at the time, I'm afraid that period of time doesn't count towards public service loan for the 10 years you need for public service loan forgiveness.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you for your time, your expertise. We so appreciate you, especially since you're at a conference with other student loan experts, right?
That's right. We're working together to try to figure out how to make this ease into repayment as easy as possible. So thanks for having me on. I love working with you.
We so appreciate it. All right, if you missed any of this, especially the one place that you should go to look at your student loan, all you got to do is go and look in the Two Wants to Know section of our website.